Hey everyone, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving straight into one of the most vital parts of the Kenyan Constitution, Chapter 7, Representation of the People. All right, let's get right into it.
Okay, let's dive into this. And, we really got to start by addressing the elephant in the room right away. Does your vote actually matter? Like, really? Or is casting a ballot just some sort of formality at this point? Because, let's be honest, every single election cycle, we see millions of people standing in these massive lines to vote, but so many walk away feeling like literally nothing changes. It's no wonder we see so much voter apathy, right? People are constantly asking, why should I even bother? Especially when everyday, tangible things, like the cost of living, getting a job, or even just having decent roads to drive on, are constantly on the line. Well, to really grasp the power you hold, we've got to look at what the law actually says. Think of Chapter 7 as, basically, the ultimate citizen's rulebook. It's the absolute foundation that officially gives Kenyans the constitutional power to pick their leaders. And I mean everyone, from the president running the whole show, down to your MPs, governors, all the way to the MCAs. The Constitution makes this crystal clear. This authority, it belongs to you. It belongs to the people. So when you decide not to vote, you aren't just, sitting out a process. You are literally handing your constitutional power over to somebody else.
Now, what's really interesting about this next part is how Article 81 takes these super dense legal principles and turns them into a genuinely empowering reality. The whole system is literally designed by law to ensure every single citizen's voice matters equally. Just look at these pillars. You've got the total freedom to exercise your political rights. There's the strict two-thirds gender rule, meaning no more than two-thirds of elective public bodies can be of the same gender, plus fair representation for persons with disabilities. It guarantees universal suffrage, so absolute equality of the vote. And crucially, it demands that elections must be free and fair. According to the text, that means voting by secret ballot, absolutely zero violence, intimidation, or corruption, and the whole thing has to be completely transparent. So, how do you actually get your hands on this power? Well, Article 83 lays it all out. And honestly, I don't want you to think of voter registration as some massive bureaucratic nightmare. It's actually a super simple three-step checklist. Number 1, you've got to be an adult citizen. Number 2, you can't be declared to be of unsound mind. And 3, you haven't been convicted of an election offense in the past 5 years. And that's kind of it. There's no crazy obstacle course here. In fact, the Constitution actively stresses that the system should be designed to help you vote, not block you. You just register at one specific center and boom, you're ready to go. But okay, for any rulebook to actually work in the real world, you need a referee, right? Someone blowing the whistle. That brings us to Article 88, which sets up the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, which we all know as the IEBC. They are the legal enforcers responsible for making sure those big principles we just talked about, like transparency and keeping your ballot secret, actually happen. They handle continuous voter registration, figure out party nominations, settle disputes, and even run voter education. Basically, they are the ultimate managers of the entire electoral machine. And this brilliantly illustrates just how seriously the Constitution takes that word independent in the IBC's name. To guarantee absolute neutrality, the law draws a super hard line in the sand. If you want a seat on this commission, you absolutely cannot hold any other state office. But get this, it actually goes a step further. You cannot have been a member of parliament, an MCA, or even part of a political party's governing body at any time within the past 5 years. By totally blocking recent politicians from acting as the referees, the Constitution is aggressively, and I mean aggressively, shielding the process from improper influence. To put the sheer scale of the IEBC's job into perspective, just think about this number, 290. Under Article 89, there are exactly 290 electoral constituencies for the National Assembly. And the IEBC doesn't just run elections inside them. No, they have to meticulously manage and review the names and the physical boundaries of every single one of those constituencies and the wards within them every 8 to 12 years. They're constantly balancing population quotas with geographical features, urban centers, and even historical community ties. It is a massive, incredibly complex puzzle to ensure every single region is fairly mapped out. Right, so let's talk about the players on the field, the political parties themselves. The Constitution doesn't play around here. Article 91, Section 2A literally says, a political party shall not be founded on a religious, linguistic, racial, ethnic, gender, or regional basis. It also says they can't engage in advocacy of hatred on any of those bases. That is huge. The supreme law of the land is flat out demanding that political players promote national unity. It completely rejects any attempt to divide the country up by tribe or region. Digging a little deeper into Article 91, you really see how the law tries to tackle some of our historical baggage head on. The rules for these parties are insanely strict. They have to have a national character and a genuinely democratically elected governing body. But just look at what's totally banned. They are expressly forbidden from using or even encouraging violence or intimidation. No establishing private militias or paramilitary groups. Absolutely no engaging in bribery or corruption. And a really big one, they're legally barred from using public resources for their own campaigns. The framework basically leaves zero room for dirty politics. At least, on paper.
But hey, what if you're a citizen who really wants to serve, but you just want nothing to do with party politics? Well, the Constitution actually has a backdoor for that. Article 85 outlines the independent route. Any person can stand as an independent candidate, but there's one major catch. You can't be a member of a registered political party, and you must have been totally unaffiliated for at least 3 months right before the election date. It's basically a built-in escape hatch for people to completely bypass the traditional party machine and take their pitch straight to the voters.
Let's move on and see how this builds a broader picture because, look, we have to be totally honest here. We've got to contrast these perfect, shiny constitutional ideals we just went over with the messy, practical reality on the ground. The ideal? Policy-driven campaigns. The reality? Well, we know it's often voting based on tribe. The ideal is a beautifully transparent system completely free of corruption. The reality on the ground usually involves a whole lot of money influencing campaigns and honestly a serious lack of trust in the whole process. The ideal? Universal participation. Everyone voting. But the reality is often super low voter turnout, especially with the youth. Leaders get up there and make these massive promises, but the actual delivery? Yeah, that can be a very different story. And that is exactly what breeds so much voter frustration.
Which really brings all this high-level legal theory crashing right back down to earth, right back to you, because giving up your vote, tossing it aside, directly impacts your everyday life. This isn't just abstract politics. This is your wallet. It's the taxes you pay every day. It's the cost of living. It literally dictates the job opportunities you're going to have. It determines the quality of the hospital down the street or the school your kids go to. It decides whether the roads in your specific neighborhood get paved or just totally ignored. When you don't vote, or even if you just vote carelessly, the leadership that ends up in power affects literally everyone.
So I want to leave you with this. We've seen the absolute sheer power the Constitution officially places in your hands through Chapter 7. But after looking at the letter of the law versus the reality we all see, let's be real for a second. Do you believe your vote actually makes a difference? Or do you kind of feel like the system is already rigged despite all these rules? And hey, if you're someone who doesn't vote, what would it actually take to get you to start? Take a second, think about your own participation, and let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and as always, keep questioning how your world is built.